All right, this is Jeff Zimmerman with FightNews.com. I got Chann Thonson, WBA number 13th ranked in the world, lightweight. Got a big fight in Georgia tomorrow night. And first time meeting you, very excited to kind of know your story. What's going on, Chann?
Everything's going great, Just like I said, I'm here waiting to get these weigh-ins done and get something inside of me so we can get the show on the road.
Yeah. Weigh-ins are today, fights tomorrow night. Um, you're 12-0, 9 knockouts. And as I mentioned before, I saw your fight against Tyler Tomlin. I don't know if it was, I think it was an ESPN fight, if I
It
recall.
was on Showtime,
Showtime,
Showbox. Yeah.
Showtime.
Mhm.
Was that your coming out party in some regard?
Yeah, that was the first national television fight that I had fight on. So yeah, it was kind of like a coming out party.
Yeah, because Tyler was highly touted. I remember talking to him before that fight, and he was kind of the guy that they were really trying to build there.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you kind of upset the apple cart.
Yeah, exactly. Because I saw when I did a little research on him, especially him being an undefeated fighter, So I saw that he was being talked about a lot, especially like in regards to Caleb Plant, because I believe that they're coming from the same place, and I heard he was selling out a lot of tickets and everything. So I kind of did a little research on him and wanted to get a feel of what type of person he was, like get comfortable with him before actually meeting him, So it was a it was a great fight for me, and I felt like not to be I'm a very critic. I'm a big critic when it comes to anything movies, boxing, no matter anything that I'm watching in or engaging in. And when I watched Tyler fight, I knew that I could beat him because even though he was 13-0, all of his fights were in the from 2019. My journey has started a little bit further, and I took the long road to get to where I'm at. So I've been through some grimy situations, the business of boxing, some grimy situations through the business of boxing, and now I'm in the better side of the business of boxing. So I knew that my destination and my journey to get me here was very mentally tough and mentally challenging because I heard him say in one of his interviews that he didn't feel like I had a dog in me. Personally, as a fighter, I don't feel like that's the last resort of every fighter is releasing that dog. You know what I mean? Because anyone that steps into the ring, in my opinion, is a dog already. But do you have the skills to do what you need to do? Worst case scenario, you'll fight, as we all will. You know what I mean? But that's not my ever go to. I'm a boxer, so I knew that I would get him.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up your journey because I want to talk about that journey because a lot of people don't, just because you may not be a known name or,
Mm-hmm.
highly recognized, at least in the US at this stage, you came from somewhere
Yes.
about your journey. And, it sounds like you had some struggles along the way, which a lot of fighters do.
Yeah, exactly. And um, okay, so I'll start from the beginning. So when I first turned professional, I was living in Montreal, Quebec, and I was boxing from these coaches that kind of go way back, kind of like family friends through my dad's side, and then so I had my first two fights with them, and on the third fight they were offering me a contract, but I didn't know too much about boxing. So in my mind, when I was thinking about signing a contract, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sign a contract. My life's gonna be good. I'm gonna train, and that's it. That's all. But when I had got the contract, I felt personally that it was a little bit beneath what I felt about myself, you know. So I turned it down, and then because I did that, I feel like in the sport of boxing, not just with these people, is that everyone knows what's best for you until you know what's best for yourself, you know?
Mm.
And then when I decided to make my own decisions is when I wasn't making the right decisions, apparently. So I left from where I was, because I had three fights under those people. Left from where I was, went to so three fights. I went to an old coach just to stay busy because I had no gym at the time. And then he got me one fight, and I stole the show on that fight again. Was offered a contract worse than the first contract, so I turned it down. And by turning it down again, making people disappointed in myself. But I knew what I was worth, and I knew that I could be where I'm at today. So because of these decisions, if now in my city, Montreal's a small city, so now that I kind of like pretty much turned down the contracts in Montreal, I'm on my own, you know, and being on my own, it's like boxing is a new sport to my family. You know, I'm the one who introduced boxing to my family. So the what's it called, the ties that I've made, I kind of in a sense severed because they weren't going in the direction that I felt that I could go. So it was hard to reach out and see what I could do because I had to try to meet people to do things, you know. And then so I was pretty much after my fourth fight, I was pretty much training at this gym because they had these Kazakhstan fighters that were there. And I told myself, if I'm not fighting, I got to be in a gym where there's strong fighters to help me grow. So that gym ended up having a gym show, and I fought. I took a big budget cut. I fought my professional fight, my fifth professional fight for $500. So that was pretty tough. And then uh, I won that fight. It was a 4-rounder. I moved to Ottawa. I had a fight with a coach named Eric Belanger. My twin brother is actually with him, working with him right now. And then that fight was from a Montreal promotion, and I stole the show again. They told me that they were going to give me a 4-fight deal, no signing, but a 4-fight deal, which was perfect to me because I'm like, I don't want to sign. I just want to get my fights up, and when something big comes, I'll take that opportunity. So, COVID happened. So again, I'm by myself again now. No one's fighting. But I didn't feel so bad when COVID happened. I took it as an opportunity because no one really was fighting other than like the high level champions. So I said, okay, this is a time for me to make sure maintain my shape, stay in shape, because I realized that I had lost the love for boxing throughout my journey and throughout those first 6 fights, because those first 6 fights were about 3.5 years, and that's very inactive for a fighter. So I always used to wonder. I'm a spiritual person. I said, God, why am I still training? Why am I still training? There's nothing coming on, you know. But in my heart, I knew that there was a bigger purpose, and which I'm living it now. So then, after COVID happened, I met my coach Chris Johnson. He introduced me to Cedric Boswell in Miami. We had like a little show and tell, and he liked me. And then now I've been busy. So my first 6 fights were 3.5 years, almost 4 years, and the last 6 fights that I had were in a year. So in a sense, like, I'm a guy who's supposed to be here, you know? And what made me strong was the fact that even though I wasn't getting these fights, mentally, I was strong enough to continue my training, strong enough to persevere. So I knew that when facing Tyler, he had all his fights back to back and it was paved out for him. I had to carve my path to get to where I was. So mentally, he was a little bit younger too. He was 22 years old, so I knew that in terms of like maturity life makes you stronger naturally, right, going through life. So I knew that with all the things, the hardships that I had faced, if we had to dog it out in the backyard, forget the boxing ring. If we had to dog it out in the backyard, the results would have been the same. So I knew that I had him in the ring regardless.
So Chann, let me ask you though, because you obviously have had a struggle on the boxing in the boxing business, and it sounds like you're on a good path now, which is great. But I heard you say something that you were the first one in your family, I guess you and your twin brother, to get into boxing. So how did you even gravitate towards the sport? You know, as a kid, or were you a boxing fan? Where did that start?
It's funny. Actually, I always loved Muhammad Ali. Like, I'd play a lot of boxing games when I was younger. And Muhammad Ali, like, okay, what I want to be, I used to be embarrassed to say it, but I actually want to be a hero, okay? Like a hero. And Muhammad Ali symbolized the hero to me. So every time I'd play boxing games, I'd always use Muhammad Ali. And one of my other idols was Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, I loved martial arts. I did a little bit of Taekwondo and a little bit of Jiu-Jitsu when I was younger. So I always knew my path would be fighting. But because there was no, let's say, support in the fighting path of my family, I only got into it at 19 years old. So Bruce Lee was. I always, like I said, I always knew that I wanted to get into fighting. So I like Muhammad Ali, I like Bruce Lee, and I like Sugar Ray Leonard. So those kind of guys kind of made me get towards boxing because originally I wanted to do UFC. So I told myself, okay, Chann, you're gonna start 2 years boxing, you're gonna do 2 years karate, and then you're gonna go to the UFC and beat the heavyweights. But when I started boxing, after I had a jiu-jitsu show, and it was nice and it was cool. And then I had my first boxing amateur show, and the house was packed. I had a lot of people come, and the environment was just so amazing that my mom was like, Chann, jiu-jitsu is nice and all, but boxing. And then God had told me that through how I will become a hero, how I will become displayed myself is through the sport of boxing. So after I started, my brother had jumped in.
Yeah, and your brother's on this card also, 6-0, 6 knockouts.
Yeah, he's a power.
I read that you said you don't really consider yourself a knockout guy, but you're 12-0, 9 knockouts. Your brother's 6-0, 6 knockouts. But where does that power come from? Obviously, you guys are knocking people out.
It's in the heart, from the struggle and from my mom. No, honestly, I guess like just me and my brother, we're durable and we're tough. Like if I had to count all the fights that I had with my brother, it's over 1 million. You know what I mean? Like it's funny how life works. It's like I guess somewhere God knew that me and my brother would have been fighters because we had so many fights that me and him had so many fights where we would hurt each other. I guess we were toughening each other up for what was to come. But with that being said, this camp, I've been training and working in such a way where my power has developed so much more. So I can't wait to have this fight for people to see that I've actually learned how to utilize my power a lot better. So I'm expecting greater things now.
Now, did your brother kind of, I know you're twins, but who kind of, was it you that kind of had the idea to get into the boxing world first and your brother kind of came along for the ride, or how did that dynamic happen?
Yes, absolutely. Like, so fighting is something as a child that I always was into. Like, I love the art of fighting, like the discipline, a warrior through trial and tribulations, like, the movie scenario. And then, so I always knew that I would do something towards it. And then I had a Golden Gloves once. And so 3 years in, I did my first Golden Gloves and I won bronze in the Golden Gloves. And my brother said, I could do that because me and my brother were twins. So when he watches me do something, and vice versa, no matter what it is, he knows that if I could do it, he could do it. And then I don't think he liked the way that I lost. So that's what made him say, he's like, nah, like I'm gonna do this now too. And he got into it. And in the beginning, he was fun. And then he started his amateur career was a lot better than mine. And I guess his pro career was a lot better than mine too, because he went to Jamaica and became the Jamaican national champion. And he won a couple provincial tournaments. And then right out of the gate, he got this contract. So he didn't have to go through the journey that I went through. But my brother is definitely tough as well, though.
Who hits harder?
He does. We both have we have similar attributes, but his strong point is power. Like, when he's a little bit solid on his more feet and he sits down on his punches a little bit better, and he naturally has a little bit more power. It's been that way since we've grown up, and I'm very elusive. Like, it was funny, even my mom, she told us that when we were babies inside of her stomach, right? The doctor was trying to read us to see if we were boys or girls. He was sitting still, so the doctor could get a read on him. And me, the doctor couldn't read me because I was moving too much.
You were already in training.
I was always in training, exactly.
So you mentioned getting ready for this fight, and I know you've been in Vegas at Split T Boxing Gym, and obviously being in the fight capital, the training there, the people that come in and out of that town must be amazing. What has that experience been like?
Because for the Tomlin fight, I was at Bones Adams gym, and we had a great camp there. And shout out to Bones Adams and all the guys that over there. I was sparring with Keith Hunter, and he was giving me amazing work that helped me prepare me for the Tomlin fight. And a guy named Sean, I forget his last name. So this camp, we were at Split T, and we went to Bones twice to train, and all my sparring pretty much was at Top Rank. So the Top Rank experience was like, I felt like I already had my fight a couple of times already, to say the truth. Because the guys at Top Rank, they're no joke, and it's a lot different in Canada. The way people spar over there, it's a fight. Especially, I feel like in a gym that's like top rank because it's a gym that's I feel like people have something to prove over there, and show that they want to be the guy that's leading, that's on top in the gym. So the sparring was very very tough, challenging, and it put me into a place mentally where I had to, let's say, transform, you know what I mean, to overcome what it is that I'm this train that I'm going through and the guys that I'm sparring. So I definitely earned my respect in the gym and the respect from everyone, and it made me a lot stronger. And I did, like I said, I developed my power more so. My coach is a master boxer, and he taught me how to do things through watching what I was doing. That it's like fixing a car. A car is messed up, and you fix one little thing, all of a sudden it's driving faster. So we kind of had that similar situation in training camp. All of a sudden, I'm punching harder.
It sounds like it was a confidence builder. I mean, you could fight, but just having that experience
Yes.
in that top
Mm-hmm.
rank environment.
You said it perfectly. You said it perfectly. It was more of a confidence builder, and also reassuring myself, because some people believe, everyone in the beginning of this journey believes that they're going to become world champion. That's where it starts, the journey to box. I want to become world champion, and throughout the journey, people's dreams get crushed through bad coaches, through getting hit too hard, through too much training, through all kinds of things. And in boxing, I feel like there's so many crossroads, you know what I mean? So when you overcome these crossroads or these certain situations that you go through, it reassures you that you are built for this. And I know that I am.
And I know the guys at top rank, I mean, they're obviously some of the best in the business, if not the
Mm-hmm.
best, as far as talent evaluation. Are they looking at you? Are you signed with a promoter at this point?
It's funny, after one of the sparrings that I had was kind of interesting because it kind of got a little loud in the gym because we shit talking was taking place. So when I heard him speak to me throughout sparring, I'm a shit talker naturally. I don't do it in the sparring because it's different in Canada. But when he spoke to me, then I started speaking. So everyone it became like a doghouse in the gym. And then when I had a good sparring session, and after the sparring session, I forget his name, but there was a man there who was like an old cut man. I guess they were telling me he's a famous cut man. I forget his name. Sorry. And he asked me, he's like, "Are you signed?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm signed. Why? You trying to get me signed?" And he was kind of like telling me, he's like, "Yeah, I would look into it." So it was amazing. But being signed to Cedric Boss already is the best thing for me. So
Right. And I'm not here to meddle in any contracts or anything. So,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
but that's great. That's great exposure being over there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your fight. And again, Jeff Zimmerman with FightNews.com here with Chann Thonson, WBA number 13th lightweight in the world. You're fighting a guy, Aelio Mesquita. I know you said, kind of flat footed. It sounds like he's kind of made for your style, kind of set up
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. And honestly, I don't. I used to say, like, I'm kind of looking for the knockout without forcing it because, like I said, I want to test out what I've been learning in camp. You know what I'm saying? So this is a good test for me to put together to show my next level. You know what I mean? But obviously, I'm never forcing it because that's how mistakes are made. So he's a little flat-footed. He's been knocked out quite a few times. Like I said, I feel like it's a good step up fight for me to introduce my next level to bring myself to that next level. And when I saw him, like I said, flat-footed, like I'm a big critic. He looked a little basic to me. You know what I mean? Nothing that I have to worry about. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not going there stupid, but nothing I have to be overly conscious to be like, whoa, he's an extreme power puncher or he's extremely fast. Decent in terms of boxing because he's stepping into the ring. I respect him. I respect everyone that steps into the ring. So I definitely give him his respect. And without him, I wouldn't be, taking my next step forward. So I respect him, but I'm definitely looking to put on a beautiful show and performance that night, tomorrow night.
And you're a lightweight. Obviously, that's a stacked division, lightweight, super lightweight. The timing couldn't be better for you, right? To
Mm-hmm.
become a champion. But you got Devin Haney at the top.
Mm-hmm.
He may not be there very long.
Mm-hmm.
I know you said weight cuts are pretty good for you, so you may
Yeah,
be there for a bit. But
yeah.
what do you when do you hope, assuming all goes well Friday and just continue this path, to get into a title fight? Because if I'm not mistaken, you're about 30 years old now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think well, sorry, you are mistaken. I'm 30. I'm 30 years young.
There you go.
Yes. Um. I believe. Uh. Next year, this time, that's what I want to be looking at. You know what I mean? Like, get a few more fights because, like I said, the first 6 fights of my career were so spread out that, in a way, this is like my first year as a professional because I'm fighting back to back. So I'm learning. I'm like an old employee relearning the job. So it's like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, I've done this before. Let me just get comfortable again with the tools that I'm using in the job. You know what I mean? But I was a master employee, so I'm back here. But I think next year this time, we should be looking. Me and my team will be looking towards something like that, or early 2024. You know what I mean? I want to be in the talks of setting something up for a world title.
And the landscape will obviously be different by that time with
Of
Shakur, some of
course,
these guys
of
moving
course.
up or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
of course. And to be honest, I'm not worried about who I will have to face for a title eliminator or a world title because this is this is the game where it's like, you know what? I still have old traditions in me in terms of boxing. When you look at Sugar Leonard, he fought Wilfred Benitez, Roberto Duran, and Hitman Hearns all within 18 months. These guys are monsters. It's like we have too much talent at the top level for no one to be fighting each other. Like before it was who was the greatest, okay? Back in the day it was who was the greatest. Now it's everyone's the greatest.
Hmm.
So if everyone is the greatest, the question has to be is how great are you? That's why I have a lot of respect for Tank Davis, even though I would love to fight him one day. I have a lot of respect for him because he's knocking the guys out. So if everyone is the greatest, we have to evaluate who's the greatest based on how they're getting the victories. Because if no one is fighting each other, how are we measuring who's the greatest? You know what I mean? So whoever I have to fight when that time comes, I would want to make a statement on that fighter because I know I would be looked at as the underdog, which is beautiful for me. But I would definitely love to fight one of the top guys when that time comes. You know what I mean? And make a big statement around the world.
You mentioned Tank. Obviously, with the Spence Crawford fight falling through momentarily, at least, that's the next big fight on the calendar
Yes,
outside of maybe Plant and Benavides. Who do you like in the Tank Ryan fight since that is around your weight class?
Tank, because like I said, because of how he's doing it. Because if according to social media and boxing, Ryan Garcia is already a Hall of Famer. He's already a great fighter. So is Devin Haney. So is Shakur Stevenson. So is all the guys under them too. Everyone is a great fighter today. So like I said, if everyone is great, how great are they? Tank is the one that's putting everyone away. So I give him he has the most bonus points in my book. You know what I
He's
mean?
your top dog at this point.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be an honor to fight him, like inside of me. Like like as a warrior, it's like, you know what? Tank. Let me choose the beast. Be an honor.
Yeah. Interesting, interesting, and I can tell you're a historian of the fight game,
Yes.
uh, which not many are today. Before we get to Tank, before we get to any of these top dogs, you gotta fight tomorrow night in
Yes.
Georgia at the Georgia International Convention Center against Aelio Mesquita. Um, what should we expect tomorrow night?
Um definitely like grace a graceful performance and an explosive one as well because I'm like I said, I'm coming to utilize what it is that I learned through training camp, and I'm going to display that. I've never really displayed, even though I've 9 knockouts, I don't feel that I've ever displayed that I was a dangerous, powerful fighter. But that's what I'm coming to display tomorrow.
All
And
right.
yes.
You heard it here. Chann Thonson, WBA number 13th ranked lightweight in the world.
Let's go.
Has had a rough road so far, but has his sights set, I should say, on a title in the next year or so.
Yes.
Um, Ready to continue that journey tomorrow night against Aelio Mesquita. I appreciate the time, man. Like I said, I
I
saw
appreciate it too.
your Tomlin fight. I'm excited
What
to
did you
see
what did
your
you
journey.
before we go, what did you think about the fight, Tomlin fight? What did you think before and what did you think after?
Well, I had interviewed Tyler before the fight and really liked the kid, and
Yes,
just doing my homework and seemed had that star quality about him. But listen, man, you were masterful that night. I mean, you put on a great performance, and like I said, I don't think anyone saw that coming because I don't think people really knew who you were. But
yes.
I think that, like I said, being on a big stage like that, I think I
Changed.
hope that helps springboard you to future success.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're a hell of a fighter. You're a hell of a fighter.
Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow night, and I hope to do this again very soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll go together to the top.
There you go. Thanks, Chann.
Take care. Have a great day.
You too.